Okay, thank you.
All right, great. So just calling to order the public safety meeting of Tuesday, January 16th at 5:30. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes of the meeting of December 18, 2023?
So moved.
Second, any discussion?
Nope.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Moving on, any public who wants to speak, I don't know, like anybody reach out, Ray or Mona or any of the staff, any emails, anything we need to put on. Moving ahead, since we don't have any public comment for this section of the meeting, we'll move with the departmental updates. Fire, please. Chief Gary.
Okay, I believe I'm unmuted, and thank you. You have our December 2023 executive summary, as well as our excuse me, executive summary for the entire year of 2023. So I'll just move on to a couple other things. I was going to bring this up last month, but I was unable to attend the meeting. I just wanted to talk about the results of our annual required hose testing. We tested out, and I'm going to go over to this document here. A little over 19,000 linear feet of hose, and of that, 1,400 feet failed, various diameters. We currently have no spare large diameter hose, which is our supply hose. We've ordered 600 feet. The price went through the roof. It's $810 for a 100-foot length, $8 a foot. So we're expecting that in. The delivery time on that is anywhere from 6 months. And we're going to end up doubling that order. So we have one complete hose bed change, and a hose bed holds 1,200 feet. The remainder of the hose, the 3-inch, the 600 feet at 2.5, and the 150 feet of other hose, going to cost another $6,000 to replace. So this is a required test as part of the inspection, testing, and maintenance programs on all apparatus. So more to follow on that. Hopefully we can accelerate the delivery times. They used to be shelf items, and over the past 3 years, they turned out not to be shelf items anymore. I want to talk real quick about the highway fire suppression standpipes, and what they are. Is a series of pipings that allows us to provide an infinite water supply to the highway itself, whether like at exit 24, where we're pumping up to a bridge level, or Elm Street, where our other set is, where we pump down to the highway. They've been around for many years. Our particular 2 sets are about 10 years old. And the original intent was to put them on all the bridges, so the fire departments would spend less time on the highways, and the highways would reopen quicker, not affecting the motoring public, commerce, you name it. Well, we've had some issues lately at the state level, where the state wants the municipality to take overall testing of the standpipes. And there's required testing. It's not an intricate test. But if the town doesn't take over the standpiping, they have threatened to decommission them. We've been working with and we're not alone in this. There's standpipes throughout the state, but we've been working with the Connecticut fire chiefs. The problem is, when you test a standpipe, we can supply the water, do the testing, and have the expertise to do the testing. We still need the state to assist with blocking up on the highway. So we feel that this is a 50-50 operation where we'll do the testing if they do the safety part of it. As of right now, as of last week, there was talks about decommissioning and removing the standpipes. We've had some progress on that, and the Connecticut Fire Chiefs has put together a small committee to work with DOT on this and to bring the subject up to the 2024 standards. And understanding that 21 years ago when these started coming out, we didn't have the hybrid and the lithium ion powered cars, which require thousands of gallons of water to extinguish. For my part, I've been working on the testing procedures. But I'm working with Chief Thurs out of Glastonbury. So there'll be more to follow. And this subject came up when the mayor was sent an agreement, a sample agreement from the State Department of Transportation, asking her to sign an agreement taking over the testing and the maintenance of the standpipes. It was forwarded to me. And again, that started our ball rolling, and we found that many other towns were in the same position. Yes.
I have a question. What is it costly to take over those standpipes, and what's involved in the maintenance?
Ray, I don't see a big cost from our end. To test all 4 standpipes, so we have 2 northbound, 1 on Elm Street, 1 at exit 24, 2 southbound, same location. Probably a day's labor, and that's something we can do. It's not an intricate testing process, and we do have people qualified to do that testing. It's just a matter of getting DOT on board, because if we're testing and we have 1 piece of apparatus at the fill site and 1 at the discharge site, and you need at least 4 others or 5 others to do blocking on the highway, that's not feasible for us. I don't know any town it's feasible for. So that's where we're looking for the state to come in and just provide the safety factor up there.
Okay.
So yeah, and Ray, I know some of this is new since the last time we talked on this, so there has been movement, and obviously in the positive direction.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And then one other small thing I had was we finished with the factory rep testing of all the hydraulic and hydraulic rescue tools today, and happy to say that all the tools passed with flying colors. A couple of small issues with some batteries, which we will take care of, but we're in pretty good shape from there.
Mr. Chairman.
All right. So thank you, Chief Gary. And any questions, Councilor O'Sullivan?
No questions here. Thank you. Thank you for that report, Chief.
No questions.
There you are, Fran. Okay, Fran, just to let you know, Fran is here, but he's not showing on the screen, but he is here.
Yep.
Yeah, Councilor Wheeler, any questions for Chief Gary?
No questions. Thank you. For some reason, I'm not showing my face on there like all you people, but I'm here.
This will be all figured out by the town council meeting at 7. So
Okay.
this is like after a long time we're doing a Zoom call. So hey, I have a question for you, a quick one, like on the executive summary, like the per chart, that's the manpower chart. Is that just the number of volunteers overall, like 70? That chart shows, like, right? I just want to make sure I'm reading it correct.
Yeah, I'm pulling up the executive summary and the manpower chart.
Yeah, this
Yes,
is
that is Okay, there's the chart. I believe that's the one. Yes, that's the volunteers by year.
Oh, excellent. So no, thank you. And this is great, by the way. I love the fiery color too. Presentation. It makes it a little exciting. The other question I had was, can we break down these incidents like into like the way you do it on social media? Like there was, I saw a chart like with like all the incident types. When I see the incident types on the first chart, like they are just fire and rescue. They're in two buckets. But what I saw on social media was like you have other breakdowns like false alarms and false calls, things like that, which are in there.
Yeah, and actually, what you saw on social media was a breakdown of the National Fire Incident Reporting System, which we're part of, which breaks the calls down into 9 different sections. We can do that. We haven't found, at least I haven't found a way to accurately chart that yet, but absolutely, we will work on that to do that charting.
No, thank you. And again, like, thank you for putting this together. Really appreciate it. I think hopefully it helps you as well in the long run to like keep track, like, year by year, and those trends. So thank you, Chief Gary.
Thank you.
So moving on to emergency management. Chief Gary is back, I guess.
All right. Got my emergency management report here, and I put all this other paperwork on top of it, so just bear with me a second. Okay, so from the emergency management front, we did have a fairly busy month. One of the things that took a good amount of time was we reviewed and edited our hazard mitigation plan. And we subsequently submitted that to the state. So that is part of their grant request to FEMA. It's a regional request. So that's where we're at with that. We did do spend some time doing flood assessments, and then the prep for the 2 major rain events. We did, and those 2 rain events, especially the second one, we ended up with some road and park flooding in out of France Street again. That flooded over, but that's to be expected. The Mattabesset comes out of its banks all the time up there. So that's what I have for emergency management. Unfortunately, no slides yet on that.
No, thank you so much for the report. Any questions? Councilor O'Sullivan.
None here. Thank you.
Councilor Whelan.
No questions, none.
I don't have any as well, Chief Gary. So thank you for that report, and thank you for those charts as well.
You're welcome.
And moving on after that to ambulance, whoever wants to go first, the Rocky Volunteers or Aetna, either way I'm fine, but I don't know. Brian, do you want to go first, or just pick between you guys?
There it is. Yeah, we have a total of 152 calls for the month of December. For the whole year last year, we did 1,462 calls. We had the top 5 calls were falls, respiratory, sick people, chest pain, and psychiatric calls. For the year, we had 13 cardiac arrests. 9 were transported. 2 were worked on scene. We had one opioid in December. Our staff levels are at 50 riding members, 4 probationary members, and 6 associates. During the month of December for our community, we did the North Pole Express. We did the holiday meal delivery. We were at Reese across America. And we had 58 hours of training last month. We completed our recertification of driving the new ambulances. And also, at the end of the month, we'll be going to North Carolina to pick up our second brand new ambulance that we're for the service, which hopefully will be, by the time we have it stocked and stuff, we'll be up and running by March.
Excellent. So, any questions? Councilor O'Sullivan?
Yeah, Brian, it's a bit of an uptick, kind of a busy December. Is that just statistical noise or is something else going on? I think numbers for COVID went up last month as well, and some of the other respiratory things. Did you see a spike in that, or is this just one of those things where it was a busy month for no obvious reason?
Well, we did a lot of COVID-like symptoms, which turned out some were COVID, some were the flu, influenza, RBS. We've done a lot of respiratory issues, especially in the elderly convalescent home areas, and the VA is a big one. Where we also do a lot out of the VA. Very little circulation. Once people get sick, it usually goes through the whole unit, and the VA does do good care of their patients, but once it starts to get critical, we have to transport them out. But the convalescent homes are usually, when they start up with their symptoms and stuff, we do take them out to get evaluated at the hospitals.
Okay, thank you.
Any questions, Councilor Wheel?
I have a question or two, Mr. Chairman.
Oh, yeah, please. I was just calling on Councilor Wheel, but
I'm sorry, I don't want to interrupt.
No, no questions. Thank you.
yeah, please go ahead, Ray.
Hey, Bryant, your calls are just for Rocky Hill, right? Volunteer? Yeah. The total-
Those are our calls. That's correct.
Okay, and do all 50 of your members, are they all writing or responding, or
Most of them are, yes.
most of them?
What's that?
Most of them are? Okay,
Yes, we have a minimum of 24 hours that that they have to ride a month to keep up with their pension and their retirement and stuff like that. And within the last couple months, people have coming back from school, and more people are finding time to ride. So we're starting to move along pretty well with that.
yeah, okay. That's all I have.
So, Brian, like, how's the data kind of integration going with Aetna? Like, do you guys able to like work together? Looks like you're able to put together charts now, and seems like we are making progress. But what are your thoughts on that? Like, is it working for you? Is it working for you?
Eric hasn't had a problem working with Dave at Aetna. I think it's going pretty well. I haven't heard any complaints from either one. So I think things are going pretty well.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thanks for putting it together. So moving on to Dave. Dave, you want to go?
Sure. Thank you, Councilor Prakash. So I do need to make one addendum, and I can certainly send over, if you guys would prefer, to the first slide on our total responses, and I'll get to that in a second. December, those numbers are accurate. It was 299 responses with 210 transports. I think it just happened when I was just turning over and trying to keep the formatting the same. I just slipped and didn't see the November. And then the year-to-date number is going to be different, and I can send you an amendment to that. Our total responses for the year were 3,286 with a total number of transports of 2,219. Last month, we had a 90% on-time performance. That was a little bit low for us. We're historically around 93, 94, 95%. I did some dive into it. A lot of the responses are coming out of the Medic 5 vehicle. And so I'm curious, and I'll have to see, and Chief Goodrich, we can certainly talk about it offline because I think that's probably a little more appropriate, but we'll have to see if the shoot times are accurate there. It did seem like some of those calls were on the overnights, so I'm not sure if they were moving quickly enough to get out there. And then there's also some variation when, they start off on a hot response and the police department tells them to cool down. So I did see some of those. That seemed to be the major reason why we did drop again 90%, and I'm perfectly okay with. I'd rather see that a little bit closer to 95%, but we'll keep working on it, see if we have some solutions to get that, or if it would just happen to be that vehicle, and they were just further away from the building than we would normally anticipate. Cardiac arrests for the year, there were 46 total in town. 19 resulted in transports. 27 were presumed on scene. The things that I've been talking about, I think now for months going on, is the bystander CPR rate in the town of Rocky Hill is absolutely fantastic. You ended the year with a 58% bystander CPR rate, which is well above the state and actually national average. So, applause for that. And that corresponds with a 47.9% bystander witness cardiac arrest survival. Those are people that walked out of the hospital with functionality after suffering cardiac arrest. That number could change just a little bit. We do have 3 pending cases that came. I think they were transported in late November, early December. We will have to see how those go. We'll continue to monitor, and once those numbers are finalized, we'll report back. But those bystander CPR rate, that is the final for the year, 58%. Really good job. And kudos to the dispatchers and even the community members at large that have participated in trying to help save people's lives. And that's great to see. Opiate related counters for the year stayed right at 15. We did not see any. I think maybe Rocky Hill, the volunteers did see one on their own. But overall, down year, which is a good thing for the town as a whole. Our top 5 responses were sick person, fall, difficulty breathing, motor vehicle accidents, and for unconscious/syncope. Just on some operational updates, we met with Senator Anwar and awarded him with it pretty much just being a champion for EMS services across the state. He's really been a focal point in bringing to the state legislature EMS initiatives and bringing that up, and we really appreciated that. So the North Central region awarded him with basically an honor to say, hey, thank you for doing all that you're doing. Of course, the name of it is slipping on me right now, but that was great to be a part of, great to see that. And we're super appreciative of Senator Anwar and everything that he has been doing. We did complete our highest new hire orientation. It was a lot of work. We had 13 new team members come on board, which comprised of 11 EMTs and 2 paramedics. The paramedics are starting their onboarding process right now. Actually, one just finished his because he had actually left and come back, so he had minimal training that we had to do. And one is brand new, and we'll go through the full precepting process. The EMTs are in varying phases of their FTO, but we're really excited to have those new faces. And we're already starting to work on another large hire class in February that we're excited to add to our team as we continue to kind of see a growth and volume increase. One of the really cool things that we did, actually, I'll get to that because that's the best for last. We did purchase and deploy some Sapphire medication pumps. It's a nice patient safety thing, helps administer medications over a designated rate, similar to a hospital pump, but they're specifically designed for EMS providers to be a little bit more portable than a hospital IV pump. The last thing that we did have 4 team members participate in the Innovate program. And what that is, it's basically a program that was designed to help our team members, pre-hospital personnel, including it can be translated over to the fire department, police department as well. They train everybody who really wants to be a part of it. Just de-escalation techniques for how to handle patients who are in extremis or in some sort of other condition that is causing potentially some bad outcomes to happen. And then what to do for those providers, those team members that need to then also defend themselves, and how they can reduce the chances of them getting hurt and be able to then get away from that situation. We're really excited to finally be able to offer that to our team, and certainly open to opening that up to once we get our people on board with it, because it's about a 4 to 8 hour course to navigate. We certainly are open to having Rocky Hill volunteers be a part of that as well, because I think it's just really valuable information on how to deal and de-escalate and provide defensive techniques so that people are safe and able to go home. Because at the end of the day, all of us just, we want to help people, but we also want to go home to our families and do so in a condition that is, good. So that's all I really had for updates. So I'll stand ready for questions if you guys have any.
Councilor O'Sullivan?
No questions, Chair. Thank you for that report, Dave.
Well,
Councilor Wheeler?
No questions. Thank you.
So, Dave, I do have a question for you. I think not really. I might have asked you this before, so pardon me if I have asked you this before. So, if you look at your chart where you have response by call type, you have a big remaining call types for others, essentially, right? And all the calls in Chief Goodrich's report are actually assigned to a category. Why is that different?
So the way that ours are broken down, that remaining, that 14%, or excuse me, hold on, which percentage is it? I'm just looking at it. It's the green, the 31% you're referring to. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Council. It breaks down into about 28 different categories. And so I was trying to make something that was high yield for everybody here so that you could see really on a high level what are the big calls. You can see at the MDA and the unconscious CCP are only 8% and 7% of the calls respectively. And anything underneath those is a very small subsection of that 31%. So you're really looking at probably less than 5% at most per other type. And just to make it easier to read is why I did that. So that's why they're the remaining call types, which I can certainly provide a list of for you. I have it, but
I think that's okay. Like that, I was just curious because what might be happening with, and I'm guessing here with Chief Goodrich's charts is like probably you are also using the categories, the top categories, but maybe like it's adding up to 100 still. But like I just want to make sure like you can kind of sort that out between the two of you because I think maybe it's the top categories and like just like recalibrated from a cumulative standpoint, right? When you put it in the chart. So just wanted to bring that to your notice because I did see like, and I understand like there will be always smaller categories which won't like make, you know, which will make a large percentage of those calls. So that's okay. Just something like, it's just like more like bookkeeping than anything else, just going forward.
Sure. And just to make sure I'm understanding like the ask, because I kind of pulled back because I gave you guys too much before, right? So I'm trying to find that nice balance for you. Would it be helpful to include a slide in the executive summary that covers all of the call types? And so that you can see that. And sorry, I just want to make sure I'm understanding what the ask is.
I didn't want to confuse you. Like, yeah, this is perfect. I think you and Chief Goodrich have found like the right amount here. Like, I think we are great, like on that. So we don't need to add anything, pretty much nothing. What I'm saying is just like reconciling those response type charts, and just making sure like we are looking, because when I read like there are no others in Chief Goodrich's pie chart, right? No others at all. So it kind of like it is assigning a category to everything pretty much, right? And it adds up.
And actually, what I think I could do that might be helpful as you're saying this out loud is I could probably split up the remaining call types to go into two major categories, which would one being trauma, one being medical based. And that way it gives you a better idea of what that other subpopulation is. Because I'll look at Chief Goodrich's the pie chart that Eric made, and I can fashion it like that. So that's
I'm not saying like
it's apples to apples.
Yeah, it's just apples to apples. Both are correct, like right. But I think it's just like looking at different things. But that's all. Like I'm just pointing this out for like future, right? Going forward, like we'll just like at a place where like they're all aligned. I think we are 95% there already. So I don't think there's anything required to be added. So thank you, Chief Goodrich, and thanks, Dave, for that report and for all your hard work in putting this together, all the data. So moving on, we move to police and Chief Clerk.
Good evening, everyone. The executive summary covers the calls for service at 3,087 with 32 criminal arrests and 2 DUIs. We are currently still active in our background investigations for both certified police officer and public safety dispatcher. With some anticipated retirements coming up in April, we've actually started an entry-level process and another certified process as well, which just went out last week and have gotten some applications already. That usually takes about 30 days for those processes to accept those applications and close. I'm very proud of two of our community events this December involved collecting toys, both at the school for West Hill with our SRO officer Jordan participated in that. And then the Stuff a Cruiser, which took place at Walmart as well as West Side Market, were successful in collaboration with the fire department as well. Some updates on some cases for you. The incident you may recall on Cold Spring Road, that suspect has been arrested and is currently undergoing the court process. You may have seen a release recently about a great piece of police work our day shift did, where they located a stolen U-Haul. That ended up recovering several pieces of stolen items from surrounding towns and other states as well. And those folks are going through the court process now. And of note, we had the incident on Main Street, the pedestrian accident. It's still under investigation with the Mid-State Traffic Team. But on its face right now, it would look to be that speed was not a factor, and that the pedestrian was crossing at a non-marked location. But again, that's still in its early stages, and I'll get you an update when that is concluded. And I know that there are some questions about the French Street incident, the Kobe Road. So what we determined after we got that call, officers responded out to the scene, located the broken window and an expended bullet round that had entered the home. And while our officers were investigating, we were able to determine that there was some actually live gunfire taking place in the outer France Street area on a property up on the hill. And officers responded up there, spoke with the two individuals involved and the homeowner as well. And that's currently an active investigation. What I can tell you right now is that the property, neither by ordinance or state statute, would have prohibited this target practice. They were more than 500 feet from a nearest home, which would allow that activity to take place safely. However, it would appear that a round somehow got up over this backdrop that they had created, the safety backdrop in the area, and ended up on Kobe Road. So our detectives are looking into that, met with them, the detective commander this morning, and they're trying to determine whether or not we have any criminal action that needs to be taken on that case there. But again, this is the activity itself on their property would appear, at least right now in the infancy, to be a legal activity. Just unfortunately that we had a round that made it through this backdrop and the tree line and landed where it landed. Certainly very concerning for us. And if we in fact determine there's a violation of statutes, there's a possibility that an arrest may take place.
Thank you for that report, Chief Platt. Councilor O'Sullivan.
Yes, thank you, Chief. Thank you for that report. I don't know if you're at liberty to disclose this. When I saw the story about the U-Haul truck, which really was just a great piece of work by your people, I was just curious as to whether the license plate readers that we recently invested in may have played any part in that particular case, identifying that vehicle, and just in general, if we're beginning to see some return on that.
In fact, it did. We try to control that information. It's a great utensil for us and an investment that the town has made that has been fantastic for us as a crime deterrent as well as an investigative tool. To date, as my last check, we track all of our, we call RECORE hits, and we track those in our CAD system. So when we get a hit on a license plate stationary location, we will enter into a call, and then our officers would dispatch. So to date, we had about 85 positive RECORE hits where we were able to either locate a missing person, stolen car, someone to come in. The two hits we're seeing the most of are stolen vehicles, believe it or not, and occasionally the missing folks. Within the first 2 weeks, we had already recovered 2 stolen vehicles and located 1 missing person within the first 10 days of that system going live. So it has been a fantastic investment, and I will tell you that in that case for the U-Haul, that was absolutely related to that system.
Here, thank you very much.
Councilor Bean.
Chief, we had a lot of inquiries recently about the pedestrian accidents over the last year. I know your sergeant put together a nice little informational for us. Could you just go over a few of those highlights? Basically, is there anything the operator at fault, the pedestrian? Is there anything the town or the police officers can do to decrease these pedestrian accidents happening in our town?
Sure. So the request for that came just after the packet had already gone over, so I will be including it in next month's report. But through the last 3 years, and you're referring to Sergeant Foss's memo, when we have a serious accident, whether it be a motor vehicle accident or a pedestrian accident, we're looking at those factors, almost immediately to determine if there's something that we could be doing, such as enforcement, environmental design, et cetera. But from that report, what we have found and fairly consistently is that we're finding that a lot of the times these pedestrian accidents are related to the pedestrian actions themselves, whether it be crossing in a non-crossing area, distracted, I hate to say distracted walking, but it seems to be the case in most, if not all of our accidents that involve pedestrians, that the pedestrians themselves, and including one of our bicyclists that we had recently, are causation or the contributing factor to the accident. We're not finding speed to be an issue in a lot of these cases. I think, in fact, I talked to Sergeant Foss today about this report, and what he had said is if these pedestrian accidents involve speed, you would have seen far more serious injuries than we're seeing. And he's confident in his analysis, and I'm confident in his that, where we're at as far as educating the public, some sort of PSA. It's on our radar, but as far as an enforcement component, we just are not finding the contributing factors to be related to motor vehicle violations as much as we're finding them to be related to the pedestrians or the cyclists themselves.
I really appreciate that, and great job you guys are doing, and thank you for putting that report together.
Thank you.
Chief Flett, first of all, how's the officer doing who got injured during that stop? Hope he's doing well.
Forgive me for not mentioning that. So the officer has come back to work full duty. The injury, I know many of you may have seen the video that was, the media had requested that video from us. That's how it ended up being released through an FOI request. And you saw the tumble that he took. So it was bumps and bruises, but he's made a recovery. He's back to work, and he's back out there, carrying the mission forward.
Excellent, excellent. So, by the way, thank you for the summary there. And I just wanted to ask you about the CAD call type you're adding for these requests you're getting for the FOI requests, right? So I think going forward, we should have a good idea of how much that volume looks like. So I know it's a work in progress, and you've talked about it. So thank you for putting it in as a category so we can track it going forward. So I just wanted to give you a shout out on that.
I remind him every day when I go, making sure that he's getting that data in the computer and the reasons and the purpose behind it. He's doing his best to keep it going, to keep it accurate. I'd like to think that after another month or two, we should have a statistic or a chart for you that can kind of show you that information in real time every month at the meetings.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. And one last question I have, and I kind of talked about this last time. The motor vehicle stops are down from 2022 very consistently. And I was looking at the charts again today, and that jumped at me again. So I just wanted to bring that up. The criminal arrests are down as well. I hope it's not because of we are bringing down enforcement. I just wanted to make sure.
Oh, no, that's not the case at all. I mean, part of I think can be attributed to being, position short that we've had for the last, beginning in April, we've been down with the assignment to the SRO position, that we lost the position temporarily in patrol till we could backfill that one. Chief's Custer's retirement, we're still working to fill. So, and we also have an officer who's been out on injury since last April or July, excuse me if I don't remember when. But we've had some folks off the road and some shortened positions that way. I have met, and I acknowledged at last meeting that I actually met with the patrol commander last week, part of some division goals and analysis. So what we're actually doing now, as part of his goal, is to see a noticeable increase in those stops for 2024, but be looking at those on a monthly basis, not necessarily just a quarterly basis like we had been doing in the past, and trying to keep our finger on the pulse there. But by no means are we discouraging that activity. I think it's just a culmination of shortage of positions, maybe getting the patrol, the goals a little bit more clear, and just making sure that we're keeping an eye on it. And I'm hopeful to see a change for you.
Great. Thank you, Chief Flett. That was very informative. And again, thanks for all the hard work at the back end, putting these things together, and obviously being out there in the street and doing all this great work. And I'm glad to hear that the LPRs are working as intended, and actually helping us solve like real crimes. And they have been out like how long? Like, please remind me, like a few months.
I want to say we came on sometime, they were full online probably beginning of September, October, and forgive me if I'm wrong on the date there.
That's
But what I can tell you is what's happening is it's hard to quantify, but I'm hoping to kind of see a reduction in, we'll say, thefts from motor vehicles. So it's hard for me to give you a stat to say when we responded to an area when we had a stolen car come into town. I mean, I can tell you how many times we've had that happen and the car is taken off and, left town and sped away. And we are really fighting for me to quantify what they were here doing. We don't know. They could just be coming through town. But when we see them run away from our officers, get on the highway and take off and not come back, we are definitely, in my opinion, the deterring crime that we just can't put a number to just yet. But I'd like to see those charts kind of go down the other way with those motor vehicle thefts and thefts from motor vehicles. And I'm hopeful that we see that, but there's no doubt that it's been a very powerful tool for us, and so much so that we're looking at, don't shoot me here, but like to look at actually increasing maybe a camera or two in that east-west corridors. We have a very great coverage around the perimeter of town, but once they're kind of inside those locations, it's sometimes, while we know they're in an area of town, they can go from Elm Street to Cromwell Avenue. We don't know where they went in between there until they hit another camera. So looking, discussing, and possibly in the budget for 2024, maybe putting a couple extra cameras around town to really kind of close that gap down that we have now. But even if that's not approved, I can tell you it's been very effective.
No, thank you. And before I move on to the head district, I just want to make sure the mayor does not have any questions, because I just want to make sure that for anyone who have provided a report up till now. Madam Mayor, do you have a question for anyone before we move to Charlie Brown?
Yeah, thank you. So, Chief Klett, I know that a number of the press releases that show up on social media have caused some concern for residents, and I wonder if it might be helpful if we could just review what it is that the Atlas app is meant to communicate to folks, and how you contrast that with a reverse 911 call. And I'm saying that because I think there are a lot of people who are expecting to receive certain information from Atlas that perhaps they might not be getting necessarily from that app. And I just want to reassure folks that if you need to communicate with them on some type of an emergency basis, that you have a means to do that, and maybe we can let them know the best way to stay informed.
Yeah. So for the Atlas, you have to remember that if we set off an alert, that's sending off a ping, the tone to your phone 24 hours a day. So we really try to save the Atlas for emergency situations that are must know right now type of scenarios. So, sending out as an example, sending out a press release on Atlas One at 3 o'clock in the morning might be disruptive to someone's sleep. Whereas on Facebook and, or our site, that's kind of where those would go. So we really try to use that for emergencies. Sergeant Morgan really tries to focus on that to be, when that goes off, we want you to look at it. We don't want this to be the Facebook where you scroll through and don't really pay attention and you get to it when you get to it. We want Atlas One to be that place when you hear that buzzer go off at 2 o'clock in the morning, that it's something we want you to know 24 hours a day. If we're missing the mark, I'm open to, to suggestion. The reverse 911, and similar to that, the reverse 911 system also, those are large, usually the reverse 911 is for, again, more of those emergencies. They probably are coupled along with Atlas One at the same time. Not always the case, but as an example, a missing person at 3 o'clock in the morning, we are sending things out on every platform possible. Where if we had a major accident that we want to put in the newspaper about, someone was hurt or really injured, we want to get the message out about public safety and traffic safety. That would be more leaning towards our Facebook page or Twitter page, which are kind of linked together. But if, again, if we're missing the mark, then I'm open to having an offline chat and see if we can meet that for you. But that's really what Atlas One and 911 are really the big deals that we don't mind waking you up and explaining that to you. You know, if you're gonna call and, you know, and be mad you got woken up, I want to make sure you're getting woken up for the right reasons, you know?
Yeah, so do you know how many folks are participating in the Atlas One program? Should we be promoting that more?
I don't have, we can log into the system. I can get that for you. So yes, we can tell you actually how many users we have. And every message we sent out actually has metrics that can tell you how many people actually looked at it, how many people read it, some good information behind that as well. So I can get that for you.
Awesome, thanks.
All right, so moving on to health district. Charlie.
Yep, so it's been a rather active respiratory virus season, as we've said, and looking at, you know, the last, you know, few months since October, our trends in influenza-like illnesses have been above our 5-year average each and every month. This past month in December, we saw one of the highest COVID hospitalization rates than we've seen in a couple years. So there's a lot of virus out there, folks, right now. We encourage everyone to take what preventive measures they can individually to be able to protect themselves, their family, and the community as we're dealing with this virus. The only good news I have is that the RSV numbers seem to be down from last month. So we're seeing a slight decrease in those numbers, which is good. But as you know, was noted earlier in the ambulance reports, we have had several instances of long-term care facilities with high COVID rates that have been reported to us. So, you know, once again, wash your hands, cover your cough, stay home if you're sick, and get your shot if it's available to you. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. And be safe and walk like a penguin.
Thank you for that report, Councilor O'Sullivan.
Good. Thank you for the report, Charlie.
Any questions, Councilor Beal?
Yes, Mr. Brown, is this a nationwide with the increase in COVID, or is it just a Connecticut?
We're seeing it nationwide. In our district specifically, we're seeing some high numbers as well, but nationwide, the wastewater surveillance is actually seeing quite a bit across the board of COVID numbers increasing, and we're hearing that through, you know, our colleagues in other states. You know, the primary virus that's being transmitted right now being detected is the JN.1 virus, which is the newest variant. Fortunately, you know, it's not any more severe than our previous one, so we're not seeing a lot of hospitalizations per se. And for example, in the long-term care that we've spoken to, but we are seeing a high number of positive tests and respiratory distress in some cases.
Thank you for that information.
Thank you, Charlie. Thanks for that report. Madam Mayor, you have any questions for Charlie, or we can go?
No, thank you.
Absolutely. So moving on to old business, I don't think we have any old business, Mr. Town Manager. Where do you have anything?
Yep,
Any
No old business,
okay.
no new business.
Okay, so no new business, no old business, no other business going on the agenda. So if that is the case, I will.
We're out of business.
Yes.
Adjourn.
Yeah, motion to adjourn. Second. Any second? Fran is here now. So just for the record, Councilor Whelan joined a little bit later, so he was present for like all the whole meeting except for the first 2 minutes. So do I have a second for the adjournment motion?
You have a second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Have a good day.